So hello everyone, welcome to the latest of our Keep Optimizing Marketing Podcast Expert Panel Q&A webinars. One day I will come up with a shorter name for them, but I have not yet achieved it. So we'll go with a very long-winded one for now. In this one, we're talking about an odd form of e-commerce marketing, because in some ways it's not marketing at all, but in some ways it is entirely about marketing. We're talking about marketplaces. Yes, Amazon, eBay, Etsy, Frugo, all the various places you could be listing your products other than your own website. Should you do it? Shouldn't you do it? And if you're going to do it, how do you make it work for you? We have some marvelous guests joining me to debate just this today. We've got Chris Dawson from TameBay, and you can find out an awful lot more about marketplaces. I strongly advise going and diving into this because TameBay Live happened a couple of weeks ago. And you can get access to all the replays completely for free. Over 35 hours of marketplace educational content. That's at tamebaylive.com. We've also got Thomas J. Vosper joining us. He's from Aisle 3, and he's recently done a TEDx talk about founding a startup. You can watch that on YouTube. Now, I know that link is very long. Don't worry. Before we, or once I get them all on screen, I will be sharing these links in the chat for those of you who are here live. And for those of you who are watching it on the website or on YouTube, the link should be very close to you. So don't worry, you do not need to write that down or memorize it either, because that would be brutal. So we've also got Thomas J. Vosper. And then on the Amazon specialist side of things, we've got John Tilley from ZonGuru, and you can take the 13-day ZonGuru challenge for free. That will help you work out how to make Amazon work for you by going to zonguru.com/get/AMZ-QS. Again, I will be sharing this link shortly. And if you tell one of the support team you are a Keep Optimizing listener, you'll get access to that challenge completely for free. And then there's me. I'm your host of both the Keep Optimizing and eCommerce MasterPlan podcast, which you can find both of those on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or just head to keepoptimizing.com. That is our intros, which means it's time for me to get rid of the screen and to ask our panelists to come and join us again. And we are... Hold on. Oh, she's hit the wrong button. Let's go back to that right button, and then let's change this to that. And then, hey, we have everyone big on screen. Oh, you'd have thought I'd have learned how to do this by now. Chris is just getting his video and audio turned on as well. Whilst the guys just get their audio, we'll get them to introduce themselves in a second. But the one other thing I need to tell all of you who are tuned in to the live version of this is we are here to answer your questions about marketplaces. So you need to send us your questions by doing that in the chat box that you will find on your screen. My top tip to you is to send those questions in early, because the earlier you send them in, the more chance I'm going to get to ask them of our guests. So waiting until the last 5 minutes is a terrible move, because the chances are I won't be able to ask your question. So get those questions in early and I will pose them to our panelists. Now, though, I think we should let the panelists introduce themselves. So, John, let's start with you. Do you want to just let the audience know a little bit about you and your interest in marketplaces, please?
Yeah, I'm John, the co-founder of ZonGuru, and I only have one guitar. Thomas, I need to work on my repertoire there, but yeah, I'm based in Los Angeles, so it's morning over here, and been here for a few years, originally from South Africa, London. I lived there for a while, and I've been here about 15 years. And an Amazon seller myself. I was in the agency world for a while, for many years actually, and then made the jump to entrepreneurship through private label selling on Amazon.com. That was back in 2013, and then launched the software business to really help private label Amazon sellers find the right products, launch on Amazon, and then scale their business, which is an unbelievable opportunity, I think, for a lot of us in the world today. So very passionate about the space, and yeah, that's ZonGuru. We have 17 tools integrated with 5 different Amazon marketplaces: USA, Europe, Australia, India, and another one in between. So that's me. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, John. And Chris, we'll come to you next. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself and TameBay, please?
Hello, I'm Chris. I am the editor of TameBay. But before TameBay, I sold full-time on marketplaces on eBay, actually, for about a decade, and made my full-time living as a marketplace trader. Started TameBay about 5 years into being a full-time seller, and eventually TameBay got so big and busy that I had to make a decision on whether to carry on selling on marketplaces or carry on writing about marketplaces. And I chose the writing about marketplaces. So TameBay.com is where you'll get all of the latest news and information and tips. And in fact, we've written about both John and Thomas's businesses on TameBay before. So if you want the latest news on them as well, come to TameBay.
There you go, guys. Everything marketplace is at TameBay. And Thomas, you obviously you're not technically working at a marketplace, so you're our kind of our different opinion here. So do you want to give everyone a bit of an intro to you as well and what you're up to?
Yes, thanks very much. Thank you for having me. Hello to everyone who's listening. So I'm an e-com veteran, 14 years in e-commerce. I've spent about half of that across Amazon and Tesco. So I joined Amazon back when there was about 6 of us on the marketplace in the UK team, and I probably knew the first names of every single person who worked in the head office at that time. For any Amazon sellers here, you'd probably struggle to remember or even think about a fraud unit, which was only about 4 people in an annex in an office in Slough for the whole of the UK. That's when I was there. So I've also spent some time in last mile logistics and was also an employee of a price comparison startup, which unfortunately went into administration at the start of lockdown, or the first lockdown in the UK. And so off the back of that, I founded Aisle3. Aisle3 is an aggregator of products. So if you think of the times that you've maybe opened 6 or 7 different tabs across the top of your browser to check a particular pair of trainers in a size or color that you like, we automatically aggregate that from retailers across the country without them having to provide any product information.
Excellent, thank you very much. So that's our selection of panelists. One of the reasons I wanted to do marketplaces on the podcast this month was because I think for someone who's created their own product and who's busy selling via Shopify, Magento, WooCommerce, one of the biggest decisions they have to try and make, one of the hardest ones to get right, is should I sell on marketplaces, combined with which marketplaces should I sell on? And I think across the 4 episodes we put out there, we've explored that from several different angles and sparked some quite intense debate on LinkedIn in particular as to whether or not one should sell on marketplaces. So we got into that into a couple of the episodes, but we didn't kind of explore it amongst all of you. So I want to start off with the case for, is there any reason, or which angle do I come at this from? I think I'll say, is there any reason someone shouldn't sell on marketplaces? Because I know, Thomas, our episode was all about what things to consider that you potentially shouldn't, but we didn't ask the question of John or of Chris. So, John, is there any reason for you why someone shouldn't sell on a marketplace if they've got their own product and they've got their own, say, Shopify store? Just to start you off with a really easy question.
Yeah. I think the first one is if there isn't demand already for your type of product or your product niche. Clearly Amazon is a place to sell something if there's people looking for that type of product, or that category. If you're a unique product and you bring something brand new, unique and special to the marketplace, Amazon is probably not the right place to start anyway. You need to create that brand awareness. So that's one of the key things to really validating a product idea for selling on Amazon is there demand already for that type of category? Are people looking for something and want to buy, right? So that's definitely one of the big reasons why you shouldn't, and something to ask up front. Yeah.
I like that one. Is there, because that's the reason for getting onto a marketplace, is there's people there who want to buy your product. So yeah, if there's no one there who wants to buy your product, it makes sense not to go there. And Chris, we spoke about why you should sell on marketplaces, but we didn't get your opinion on reasons you might want to avoid them. Yeah. Are there any?
Is it rude if I slightly disagree with John at the moment?
Not at all.
Because John's right that marketplaces have a tremendous demand, and there's a lot of products which will just fly on a marketplace, and it's just daft not to be there. But saying there's no demand for your product on a marketplace is a bit like saying no one wants to buy my product anywhere. I view marketplaces not as a place to sell products which sell like hotcakes. Like if you're selling trainers or consumer electronics or home and garden, products are going to fly off the shelf. But if you've got a product that maybe there's not very much demand on a marketplace, I wouldn't necessarily rule a marketplace out, because marketplaces are just places where there's customers. And it's like saying, I don't want my products to appear on Google because no one on Google wants to buy my products. You kind of think that's a bit ludicrous, that you don't want your products to be found on a search engine. So why wouldn't you want them to be found on a marketplace? Having said that, there are products which you shouldn't be selling on a marketplace and aren't suitable. And I'm thinking things which are age restricted, like knives in the UK. You can't sell knives, whether it be a Stanley blade or a kitchen chopping knife, on eBay, for example. You're not allowed to. There are also products which aren't suitable for being sold on a marketplace because perhaps they're highly customized or a highly consultative sale. So I'm thinking very, very specialized products that most people that are running an e-commerce business are going to have a warehouse of some sort. If your warehouse gets to the size where you want automated conveyor belts and an automated packaging machine, an automated labeling machine, that's going to be the type of product that's not suitable for a marketplace, because it's going to be such a consultative sell to make it fit with the scale and size of your warehouse, the shape of your warehouse. You're going to want help with what components to buy, etc. But I would add, even if your products are not suitable for selling on a marketplace, consider advertising on the marketplace anyway. With marketplaces, they've got a huge in-depth knowledge of every customer that buys on them. They know everything I bought back to the year 2000 on eBay. They know Amazon know everything I've ever bought on Amazon. And these marketplaces, just like you can advertise on Google, they have advertising programs where you can advertise without selling a product. And it's especially useful for businesses which are in the services industry, like mobile phone companies like Virgin or Vodafone, TV companies like Sky or Virgin again, travel companies, all of those types of businesses where they've not got a product that you can put up a listing and buy the product, but they do have the audience and they have a hugely in-depth knowledge of the segmentation of that audience.
Thorough answer there. But I'm going to come back with your disagreement with John in a second. I'm going to try and bring Thomas in as well. But before I do that, we've had a few more people join us on the Q&A. So on the attendee side of things, guys, so I know which direction to take this in today, it'd be awesome if you could put in the chat whether you're already selling on marketplaces and interested in how to sell more, or whether you are not selling on marketplaces and you're trying to decide. And that will help me work out where to put the content. So guys, if you could add that to the chat, that'd be great. Also, if you've got a question for us, get it in early, okay? Because I can tell this is gonna be one of those ones where there's no questions, and all of a sudden I get 10. And I can't ask 10 questions in 20 minutes. It just doesn't work, especially with the high quality answers these three guys are going to be giving us. So get on with that now in that chat box. That would be really helpful. Thank you very much. Okay, so where to go next? So
well,
Chris,
Chloe, I don't mind if you want to carry on letting Chris kick off his argument with John, and we'll see where we go from there.
Well, I was gonna jump in on that because I think yes, there is always this perspective of we should put our products everywhere and they might sell, but it's a whole load of work to get things ready to put on a marketplace and to do a marketplace well. So we've got to get some idea that there is some scale of demand and not put it up there in the hope that one day someone looks for our product. Surely. That would be my joining in of that particular argument. I think we should bring Thomas in here because I've asked the other guys were all very pro marketplace on the episode. So we've just asked them the counter question. You are very anti marketplaces. So Thomas, is there any reason why you think someone with their own product brand might want to sell on marketplaces?
Yeah, I guess just to confirm, anti's a bit strong. I mean, I'm not quite completely poacher turned gamekeeper or whatever. But I think, I recognise that I think we've seen over the last 12 or so months the increase in the reliance in online shopping and e-commerce. And that seems to have been growth that is distributed against a small cohort of the very biggest marketplaces and platforms across the planet. And that's quite worrying, actually, for independent retailers. And so a marketplace relationship, just like any relationship in business or in life, is a partnership to some extent. And many of the best relationships work out when it's 50-50, but it's not always 50-50. I think the thing to be aware of when you sell on any marketplace right now that is owning the transaction and not letting you communicate with the customer is how much are you actually creating a landlord for yourself and how much value you're getting from that partnership. I think there's a very distinct question that anyone should ask, and it may not matter for their business, but they need to ask this question. If you think of the last thing that you bought on Amazon, can you even remember if it was Amazon or a seller? And if it was a seller, can you remember who that seller was? Because if you can't, for many businesses, that's a problem.
Yeah, I've got some comments on that. I would absolutely agree with that. And I think, from my side and in terms of if I'm looking at our target audience, which is one of our target audiences, which is someone who is looking to launch a brand, a product brand, and sell it on an e-commerce platform. I always would say, depending obviously on exactly the product, but Amazon is a great place to start. But what I would immediately say after that to anybody who's launching on Amazon, if you truly are trying to create a successful brand on e-commerce platforms, if Amazon is going to be your only channel and your only focus, one, you're doing yourself a disservice, and two, you're leaving opportunity on the table, and you're probably your long-term success is not going to be there, right? And so you've always got to understand that marketplaces, and Amazon specifically, is a channel, right? Whether you start on it or whether you potentially come back to it after being on a Shopify store or something like that, it's one channel, and hopefully you diversify your risk at some point by having more than one channel. It's really, really critical, right? So my vision and how I always try and direct people who are looking to launch and are looking at Amazon is yes, it's a great place to start. It's probably the best place to start, in my opinion, because of the demand, traffic, etc. But you need to envision your brand beyond Amazon, right? And from the minute you launch, have strategies to grow your brand beyond Amazon, and hopefully get to a point where you have other channels, direct to consumer, Shopify, potentially other places that all feed into each other. They can elevate all boats and grow your brand beyond that, and probably end up even being in physical retail down the road. Those are probably the most successful brands that have launched over time. So it's always a channel, and it's just whether you start there and what is that mix of that channel versus other channels as you grow your brand.
I mean, I think the branding element and if you remember who you bought from on the marketplace, not just the marketplace you bought from, is something we touched on in several of the discussions. And partly that's down to how well the retailer or the product owner goes through the process of branding their packaging and branding their product and what they put in with the product. So there's room to improve that if you're going to put the effort in, so as that's not quite the full stop it might be. Chris, you're nodding.
Yeah, I think there's some interesting points coming out of this discussion. First of all, Thomas, totally correct. I buy stuff on eBay and Amazon all the time. Not only do I not know who I bought them from, I really don't care. So if you're watching this today and trying to decide if you should sell on a marketplace, there's two decisions you need to make. One is, are you building a brand? Do you care if people know who they're buying from, or are you just box shifting product? And two, do you actually own the brand, or is it someone else's brand and you're hoping that they think of you as the shop where you can buy this brand from? And then if you're a brand owner, that's where you really need to take control of the marketplace, because whether you sell on marketplace or your authorized retailers sell on marketplaces, I can almost guarantee your products are being sold on marketplaces by people that are just buying and selling product. So the best thing to do is actually engage with the marketplaces. And as a great example, with Amazon, they've got a brand registry where you can set out your store. You can build content pages for each product, which adequately represent your brand and your brand story. And you can even choose which authorized retailers can actually sell your products on Amazon. So even if you don't want to sell on Amazon, you should be engaging with marketplaces and making sure that your brand story and your brand values and ethics are being upheld on that marketplace.
See, we're giving you all lots to think of, lots to think about, and no real specific answers. But the good thing is we've had a question come in from one of the audience members that is quite specific, a bit of a case study maybe. So we're going to get to that in just a second. But I will give all of you the feedback that we're about 50% not selling on marketplaces in the audience, and about the other 50% are selling badly on marketplaces. So essentially not selling on marketplaces, but they have gone through the pain of listing. So we'll think of that audience as we go through what we're doing.
I want to hear what Thomas has got to say if you have a second there.
Oh yeah. Okay.
He's shaking his head at a point, and I think he's got
it's going like this. So yeah, good point. We'll let Thomas in, and then we'll come to Michael's question.
Well, I suppose I've got a question for everyone here and everyone listening. Who actually thinks that shopping on marketplaces is fun and engaging, and you can navigate through them easily to discover new brands and products that you may not have even known existed from sellers or businesses that you'd never heard of? Or who just loads up a marketplace and searches for something, sees 75% of above the fold for ads for products that or brands are not necessarily looking for, and then maybe filters by high or low, or tries to change those results, and then suddenly finds that they end up having to pat themselves quietly on the back for the completing the monumental task of actually being able to purchase something from what is basically a very slick logistics business. How does that relate to an enjoyable customer experience? So who enjoys shopping on marketplaces?
Got to put my hand up and say I don't enjoy shopping anywhere, whether it be on marketplaces or at all. What I want, regardless of whether it's your website or a marketplace or your physical store, is if I decide I want to buy something, I just want it as easily and as trouble-free as possible. And on the experience of marketplaces, I've got to be honest, and I'm going to pick on Amazon here because they're big enough not to get too upset with me. If you look at the Amazon website, it still looks like it was designed in 1999. It's come on a bit since then, but it's still very clunky, if you like. It's the typical marketplace design of we've got a header, we've got either search results or a product, and we've got a sidebar with some filters you can pick on. And they're all pretty much the same. Nothing really shouts out to me about this is interesting, exciting, and I want to hang around once I've actually done the thing of making a purchase.
Yeah, I think Thomas, I'm going to have to stop you here because whilst this is a debate I would be quite interested in having around how well is the UX going of the marketplaces versus, Amazon started off with it all being about user experience, it being really easy. And now if you're trying to find some earphones, it can be an absolute nightmare trying to find the right thing. But that's not what we're here to discuss, because that's not going to help the people tuning in work out how to sell and whether to sell. And we've got a question from one of them, so we have to come to that. So as I said, this is a very practical question. I think it's going to further our discussion whilst also giving us something concrete to talk about. So Michael has said, I have designed 3D printed modular iPhone accessories for iPhone, AirPod and iWatch, and I'm currently trying to evaluate if I go marketplace versus build, i.e. Shopify, WordPress, WooCommerce, etc. The vision of the brand is to create a modular / sustainable products in that space, which I think is a really interesting product to talk about, because when it's something that's almost that commodity, accessories for iPhones, etc., does it make more sense to jump into the very, very busy waters of the marketplace, or does it make more sense to go alone? John, let's come to you first on this one, because you're speaking to people making very similar decisions every day. What would your advice for Michael be?
Yeah. So when you're validating a product idea or a product niche for Amazon, there's really 5 key things that you need to look at, right? One is, to that first point I made, is there demand? Are there people looking for this type of category? In his case, absolutely, plenty. Then the second thing is to look at the competition opportunity. So how competitive is the space? Is it extremely competitive, very seasoned, loads of different products, very hard to get to page 1? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, for the keywords that you target, you want to be able to get to page 1 and compete, right? Because that's where you need to be to get in front of customers. So that's the second one. The third one is how much capital. So, understanding, if I need to get to page 1 for the category that I'm in, how much stock do I need to buy? How much advertising do I need to do? What's the amount of capital I need to put enough marketing initiatives and stock behind getting in and setting at the velocity of page 1, right? So that's something that you need to assess. And then the third one is profitability, which is obviously a really important piece. But what's my margin if I sold on marketplaces in the category? What's my price point? How much margin do I have left over? And is this going to be a profitable exercise for me at what the market price points sets, right? So those are the 4 kind of things that data can answer. And obviously with our product, we have something called the niche rater, which rates it across those 4 categories. And then the 5th one, which is probably 50% of the answer or the equation of success, is how do I differentiate my product from everything else that's on the marketplace, right? Because at the end of the day, specifically with Amazon and probably all marketplaces, Amazon's always going to give you a shot, right? They want to have the latest, greatest, best products on the marketplace. So when you launch something, they're going to drive traffic to it. They're going to test it. They want to see that if your audience or your target likes the product. And so they always look at conversion rates at the end of the day. So for the amount of traffic you're getting, do people like your product? Does it differentiate? And are they converting at a high conversion rate? And if you're doing that, Amazon's going to keep sending you traffic. You're going to keep driving it. You're going to do amazing, right? But that's a major piece, I think, if you're launching, is how differentiated is my product? And more importantly, when I differentiate it, does it match the needs and wants and desires of the customer? So those are the 5 key questions you have to answer. And with this specific product, it sounds modular. It sounds like there's something unique to it. So maybe it has some great idea on differentiation. But the other areas, it's a significantly competitive marketplace, probably one of the most competitive marketplaces, around that. Competitive niches in that marketplace. So I would suggest he needs to do his homework for sure, and answer those questions with data. That's a really important thing to do, and obviously we provide that. So it's not a short answer. But there is data, and there is a specific process you can go through to validate to make sure that you can move forward confidently with the product.
So that's the Amazon perspective, which I suspect is. I'm thinking from the doing it via your Shopify site. It's got to be one of the most competitive keywords on Google Ads. It's a competitive thing to be advertising on Facebook ads. So it's also the marketing side of it's going to be complicated in those places too. Chris, you don't just look at Amazon. You don't just look at Amazon, eBay. You look at so many different marketplaces. Is there an alternative marketplace that could be a route to sales for Michael?
Yeah, I mean, Michael enormously scares me with one thing he's asked about and enormously gratifies me with another. So the 3D printing side is a major problem, because if you're talking Amazon, for example, it cuts out so many of the benefits of Amazon, like having stock in FBA or fulfillment by Amazon, which automatically qualifies you for the Amazon Prime button. And I'm wondering how many 3D printers he's got, what speed he can actually ship at, whether he's actually producing product up front that he could send into Amazon to be sold, or whether it's more of a print on demand. But on the other hand, I love the fact that he said a more sustainable model, because sustainability is so big with people at the moment that if you can differentiate yourself from a plastic iPhone case manufactured in China and shipped halfway around the world to a more sustainable approach with maybe sustainable materials rather than plastic, 3D printing, and definitely print on demand, print locally, cut down the carbon footprint, that is going to actually resonate with people at the moment. Now, I can't remember the name of it, forgive me, but there is actually a new marketplace recently launched for 3D printing. And it's really interesting because the idea is you sell them your designs and they go out and get contracts with local stores so that someone that buys on their marketplace can effectively have the widget 3D printed, and then they can go to a local store and pick it up. It's actually intended more for things like washers for taps. So if your tap's leaking and you need a new washer, not a problem. Buy the right washer on their marketplace. They'll 3D print it, and you go down to your local hardware mongers to actually pick it up and pay for it. So there are a number of different things here. But as John said, your main problem is going to be that the highly competitive nature of the search terms. And I have to say that the only way you're going to win with search with a product like that is by building scale, and building scale quickly, whether it be eBay or Amazon or other marketplaces or even Google. They all like traffic that converts, and the more traffic you've got that converts, the more they'll send you. If you're only selling 20 or 30 items a day, that's a very different story to if you're selling 1,000 of that item a day. And you've got to get to that 1,000 a day type scale relatively quickly, because that's what generates more traffic. The more you sell, the more sales it will generate.
Yeah, it really is one of those commodity product areas where either you're going to completely compete on price, which means you've got to get volume, or you're going to completely compete on brand, which means you've got to get volume. So you've got to go big, whichever route you go down. Thomas, anything you want to advise Michael on with this conundrum he's got?
Yeah, it's a really difficult question. There's always way more behind it when someone says, should I do a marketplace, or should I create my own entire site and ecosystem and sell on something like use Shopify? Like, why is it, like, my questions back to think about is why is it an either or? Is it a cost? Is it like just capacity to manage two different channels? Is there a technical consideration that I'm unaware of as to why it's one or the other? Like, again, like marketplaces, selling your own business, that they're all competitive areas, and they're very rarely an either or, like very, very rarely and like a binary decision. And so, you know, there's definitely more to that question that I can't comment on, but to have a think, Michael, of what is it that why you're even asking yourself the question, should I do this or that? When the answer is probably this. Oh, and as Chris says, there's a new marketplace, probably them as well, and maybe someone else.
Yeah, I think the real answer, the real question should be, which one should I do first? Right.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head there, Chris. Like, if Michael is truly looking at creating not just a 3D prototype, but a 3D solution, a 3D printed solution, you know, as more of a boutique style product, that's customized, maybe fits your ear bit or whatever it is, you know, that's not the place for Amazon, right? That's a very unique brand and probably something that you want to create with a very specific customer at a higher price point. So, you know, looking beyond that is probably a good place to start. That, you know, it probably wouldn't be marketplaces. Yeah. Michael
is currently typing. So, Michael, I'm very interested to see what extra information you're going to give us or feedback on our answers.
Don't ask us to buy one. I know that's what he's like.
Whilst he's just finishing off typing and sending that message, I will say we had, for anyone who's watching, or for Michael who may be thinking it's not possible to build a brand around iPhone accessories, we had on the eCommerce MasterPlan podcast, my other podcast, way back actually, I've just looked it up, in 2016, the company Snake Hive who have created a phenomenal brand around phone cases. So that's episode 65 and well worth checking out if you want to find out a bit more about iPhone accessories. Michael's still typing.
Anchor was the big success story, wasn't it? Right? Anchor was the big success story on Amazon of building a brand. But, and I said it's slightly outside of scope, like having run a startup that's raised investment over a couple of years, like just because there's a few success stories there, there's also a lot of challenges in lots of different areas. And so like holding Anchor or some of the other case or own brand businesses that have thrived, there's like a graveyard of about 4,500 garlic presses that people seem to think they want to keep selling on Amazon.
Obsessed with the garlic presses, Tom.
No, I mean, let me give you a little bit more, well, another perspective on that, right? Again, something like Amazon, right? You've got to think about the various types of customers that are looking for products on Amazon. And if you just take Amazon.com, for example, you have 300 million people all looking for products on Amazon. And the types of products they're looking for are very different, right? You've obviously got your consumables, your day-to-day, you have it in already in your cart. You just kind of order it every single day. It gets to you within a few hours. You get kind of brands that you might buy on there that are being resold. And then you obviously have very specific, unique products that people really look for specifically US customers as well, looking for these great products that delight customers, right? And those customers are there. And I think, one of the ways that we look at, especially Amazon.com, is when you're looking for a product to sell, especially as a private label brand, you're looking for a niche within a niche within a niche. Like it's this micro niche with a very specific target audience. And if you can satisfy that audience, you have a major demand to have, a seven-figure product. And the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. Like we have customers, and I speak to them daily, weekly. And we have people who've launched products, unique, great, amazing brands, 6 months ago that are already seven-figure businesses doing projecting to do annually seven figures with great margins, 30% margin, right? Run by one person. So those opportunities are still there. We have 15-year-olds who have just sold their business for over $1 million that they launched 2.5 years ago. So and aggregators, there's all these aggregators. That's another conversation in the space, looking for these brands to buy. And there's this real opportunity with the right type of product to launch a product, and within a relatively short time, conservatively 5 years, to sell a brand for north of seven figures, and that could be one of your brands and launch another one. So those unique branded ideas that you can launch on the Amazon.com as a marketplace is if you do it in the right way and you focus on you launch the right kind of product, that can be very significant in terms of what you sell it for in a life-changing moment.
But I guess it all comes back to, John, what you were talking about earlier about doing your research to see, is there scope? Is there enough people looking for this type of thing? Is there too many competitors? Do the margins add up? So you're going in with your eyes open, because one of the other people who's tuned in right now, Naomi, she's when I asked about, are we, who is and isn't selling on marketplace to those who are tuned in, she said she's been listed on eBay and Amazon, been on eBay for a few months and had the first 2 orders last week. Amazon found really hard work, not easy, and only 1 sale so far, thinking it would be list it and it will sell, which, as I think we discussed on all your podcast episodes, none of them anymore are list and sell. And you've got to have all the ducks in the row often, and you've got to be ready to launch well. So I'm going to come back to a question of, and I think, Chris, I'll come to you first with this one, is for someone like Naomi who has done the hard work of listing but not launched very well. So she's been on eBay for 2 months, only just had her first orders coming through, got on Amazon but had 1 order and only that so far. How does she kind of revive it? What can she do to now start growing? Because she's missed that initial launch scenario. What does she do next?
So the first thing that both these marketplaces, indeed all marketplaces, do is they look at what's selling, and that's what they promote most. And by promote, I mean it gets nearer the top of search. So actually, if you've had a listing for 2 months and it's not sold anything, people may have been looking for your product. They may have seen it in search results. It's had lots of impressions, but no one's actually bought it. that's a really, really bad situation to be in, because eBay is saying, well, 1,000 people looked at your product and 1 person or 2 people bought it. On the other hand, if you've got a product that is brand new, just been launched today, you've just done a new listing, and 400 people have seen it and 10 people have bought it, they're going to look at that and think, oh, 400 people bought it, saw it, 10 people bought it. That's doing a lot better. Let's keep that product a bit closer to the top of search. And the higher up in search it gets, and the more sales it gets, the higher in search they want to get it, because they're in the business of not selling things, but satisfying customers' demand. And if every time you show me a product, I'd say, wrong product, I don't want to buy it, eventually they're going to get the idea, okay, he doesn't want to see this product. And in fact, we've shown it to 10,000 people now, and none of them wanted it. So the biggest and quickest way you can actually get that listing turned around is start driving some traffic to it yourself. And by that, I mean, drive traffic to it off eBay. If you've got a blog or Twitter or Facebook or Pinterest or Instagram, start talking about your products, start getting posts about your products. If you've got friends, for example, that are in a similar industry, see if they'll post it on their blogs or social medias. See if you can drive some traffic to the listing and get people to buy it. Because what happens then is eBay suddenly see it and say, oh, we had no search views of this product, but someone bought it. Oh, we still had no one look at it in search, but now 2 people have bought it. You know what? People are coming to eBay just to buy this product. Must be a really good product. Let's put it a bit higher up in search and let people start seeing it. So if you start driving traffic to your product, and also go back and do the basics of looking not just at your listing, but similar listings by other people, and be honest and say, have they got better pictures than me? Is their title better? Is their description better? Are the filters that there things that eBay call item specifics or product attributes on other sites? Have I filled out all the product attributes? Have I used the values the marketplace wants? So, for instance, don't call something jet black or royal blue. Just call it black or blue, because they're the search options I get in the sidebar when I'm trying to narrow down my search. So if I'm looking, for example, we talked about phone cases. If I'm looking for a black phone case, don't tell me it's anthracite or sparkly black or jet black. Just call it black. Some marketplaces you can actually map the exact value to the sort of the top level values. But have a look at the listings and honestly ask yourself, would you buy it? What would put you off buying it? What would make you buy a competitor's product rather than yours? And then it really is a case of doing that demand generation, whether it be on the marketplace or off the marketplace. All marketplaces pretty much now have paid for options to boost your product in search. You can put on things like special offers. Some marketplaces call them discounts, others call them best offers, to encourage people to actually buy it. There's lots of ways you can actually promote your product. But if you can drive some traffic to it from off the marketplace straight to the marketplace and get someone to buy your product, that's really going to help. But what you need is scale. 1 or 2 people buying it won't make a difference. You need tens of people, then fit hundreds of people, then thousands of people to be buying it. And that's what the marketplace will notice and drive that product to the top of search for you.
Excellent set of advice there, Chris. I particularly like the improve your listing, because clearly it wasn't working very well the first time, and then drive that traffic to it, which might seem utterly insane. You're going to spend time and effort marketing your listings on eBay, but you've got to do it that way. Now, John, is there any hope on the Amazon front? Once we've sunk down the listings, can we rocket ourselves back up again?
Yeah, we've had a few case studies where we've taken, stagnant listings and seen if we can revive them. Everything Chris is saying is right. I think, there's 2 things that Amazon care about is traffic and conversion, right? So, if you're doing 1 or 2 sales, you're not there. You've got to look at one, how does mine convert in comparison? And comparing it to other products is a good step. I think services like PickFu, where you can get customers to survey, your product versus others, and get answers. Is my product actually differentiated enough is a good step to do. Just asking friends, mocking up an Amazon page and putting your product on there, or doing a listing search for your product and seeing if they'll actually select your product, I think is a great exercise to do. So there's many more things around converting, which is important. I think the other side is traffic. The SEO optimization of your listing is critical. And I would probably, it's easy for me to, see that probably the listing optimization and the keywords that person has in their listing, it probably needs work. You need to, index for at least 1,000 to 3,000 keywords on your listing to make sure that it's really doing a great job. And so there's a lot of tools you can do, or a lot of, data you can look at to optimize your listing. So that's really critical. And then, to make sure within the environment of Amazon that you're indexed for so many different keywords. Obviously paid, keyword searches is critical. And then off of traffic is a great place to go. And actually Amazon just released a program that right now they're paying you up to 15% for off Amazon traffic that you're driving to your listing. So they're actually going to pay you. They're tracking it. And if the traffic has come outside of Amazon and converted on your listing, they're going to pay you up to 15% on that sale. So, they're trying to get people excited about driving, outside traffic to Amazon as well. And we know the algorithm loves that as well. So plenty to do there. But, this person has missed that initial window. And if they in 2 months have sold one product, they've got to do a hell of a lot of work to even make it viable. So they need to get going, or they need to, and it's a big decision for entrepreneurs, but you need to make those hard decisions. And if they're not successful, they need to kill that and move on to the next idea.
And John, just to clarify, that incentive that Amazon's paying for sales of your products from traffic you've driven to your listing from off Amazon, is that just Amazon.com or is that global? Because I know there'll be currently UK sellers and Australian sellers going, "Oh, could I get some of that?"
I'm actually not sure. I know it's definitely .com. It's a good question. I haven't. Usually they roll this program out, so it might not be in the UK.
I think it's just .com at the moment, but it's likely to roll out. But you know what? There are other methods. Both eBay and Amazon have what they call an affiliate program. Amazon call it Amazon Associates. eBay call it eBay Partner Network. You can drive traffic to not just your own products, but to anyone's products on the marketplace and make money through those programs. So it's something that's pretty standard across the industry.
Cool. Okay. Thomas, anything you want to add into that particular question? No,
that was pretty comprehensive. Fake it until you make it, guys. That's it. Get some reviews, get some listings, get some sales, get your mates to buy all your listings. That'll do you.
Got to bump it back up to get it to be taken notice of by the algorithm. Okay, those of you watching, I hope we are answering questions that you're enjoying and learning from. I know Michael's come back and said he's taking his key takeaway as being where to start, which platform to start on first is his key takeaway. We've also given him lots of what he said. The feedback is great, as you all highlighted points I have thought about. And Naomi says thank you for that last one as well. We've got time possibly to squeeze in one more question if someone wants to type it really, really quickly. And whilst you're all thinking about that, I'm going to ask a topic which we didn't really cover at all during the podcast episodes, but which I think is something which a lot of retailers look to marketplaces to help with, which is selling overseas. And we've mentioned the fact that certain things only happen on Amazon.com, and obviously with the huge population in the States, there's a bigger opportunity on Amazon.com than there is elsewhere. So I guess Thomas is the least pro marketplaces. I know you're not totally anti marketplaces. The least pro marketplaces. Do you think marketplaces can be a really good way of testing an overseas market to see if there's opportunity for your brand there? Do you see that international play as being a good one?
Yeah, look, I don't see any reason why marketplaces shouldn't be part of a wide strategy anyway. And so when it is slightly outside of your traditional audience or your local audience, then there's really no reason why you wouldn't want to try and find a partner that delivers, as John said earlier, an awful lot of traffic. It's a bit like some of the conversation earlier around maybe like, are there buyers? Are there people that buy your products? Like, yes, of course, there's like literally everyone on the planet, like, everyone in the UK, everyone in America, and any country Amazon's present goes onto Amazon, right, and buys something once a year. And so there's no reason why you can't use that infrastructure to launch in other countries if you're already selling on marketplaces. Chris picked up on FBA being a competitive advantage in the UK. I remember cheering when we went through 1% of all orders on the marketplace going through FBA in the UK team. It was way before we even had Prime. It was super safe delivery. And then rolling out that kind of cross network across all the different countries, like a unified fulfillment, I think it was called, something along those lines. It's a fantastic strategy. It takes care of your existing listings. It takes care of your translation. I think the thing to possibly be aware of is if you're going into a new market where there are other people that sell the same branded products or exactly the same products. One of the big challenges that we tackle at Aisle 3, which we kind of see in general e-commerce, but it's very prevalent on marketplaces, is the difficulty of listing and aggregating your products from multiple retailers. And so there's an awful lot of duplicate products, even on Amazon right now, or just in general in Google Shopping or anywhere on the internet. And that's a really tough challenge to fix with variable data qualities. And that only gets worse when you start going cross-border into different languages.
Yeah, translations, I imagine, can be an absolute nightmare with that. John, how about you? Do you see, you've recently expanded Zonguru to be across multiple other territories. Are you seeing there being a lot of appetite for using marketplaces to take advantage of overseas sales?
I think the best way to look at that is different marketplaces present different opportunities, right? You've got to kind of look at what your product is and how does that look in the market. As I said, with .com, it's very competitive, a lot of traffic. You have to be very micro niche in your approach, specifically private label we're talking about. Whereas something like Australia, it's the fastest growing Amazon marketplace in the world right now. There are massive opportunities there around products that, were products we looked at in 2012 on Amazon, right? That are open. It's more macro niche, but again, something that you might invest in that will grow, over the next few years. So you've got to kind of, look at the marketplace differently in terms of what product and what's the competitive landscape like. The other comment I would make is if you've started already in a marketplace and you're looking to expand and you're thinking about expanding to other marketplaces, I think you have to be at the right time and place of your business to expand, because with expansion comes a lot of complexities around inventory management. There's a lot of money that can be lost, where you think something's going to work in a marketplace, it doesn't, and you've got stock sitting there. How do you handle that? So I think, you need to be, if you've started in .com, you need to be north of 6 figures a month, north of 7 figures a year, growing individual brands or products and getting to that scale and growing in a marketplace before you look beyond, where you've got the systems, the SOPs, and the ability and the capital to manage inventory across different marketplaces. Because yes, you have a much bigger, traffic source to come in, but there's complexities that come with that. You have to be a real business. Yeah.
Got it. And Chris, you've got about 3 to 4 minutes to give us our final word.
Okay. Well, first thing is you've got to decide if you want to sell overseas, and if so, why, which country you think is going to be a good bet for you. And certainly you can use a marketplace to test the appetite for your products. But like John says, scale is massively important. But the other thing I would point out is marketplaces make it really, really easy for you to sell overseas. So on eBay, selling overseas can be as simple as ticking a box and doing nothing other than shipping to the UK. It's called the Global Shipping Program. eBay will market your product overseas. When it sells, you send it to eBay's warehouse. As soon as it arrives there, your responsibility ends, and eBay deal with getting it to the overseas customer. Similarly, on Amazon, if Amazon see a product shortage in one country, they will actually list your product on that country site. And when it sells, they'll just buy it from you and they'll ship it to the other country, even if you haven't said you want to sell overseas. So if there's demand for your product, there's a good chance the marketplaces themselves will deal with getting your product into those territories. But it will be on a sort of case-by-case demand, very much high demand led. But if you actually want to attack it properly, you need some scale. And there are a lot of complexities. For instance, just a courier. If you've got a UK courier and now you want an international contract, you're going to want some scale to get some decent international prices. So don't do it half-heartedly. Either do it or don't.
Lovely advice. I like it. Basically, what we're saying again across the board is don't do any of this half-assed. If you're going in, make your decision well. And if you're going in, go in properly. Right, everyone, I am going to, once she's worked out how to share a screen again, there we go. Huge thank you to our three panelists, to John, to Thomas, to Chris. It's been really good debating this hot topic with all of you. Thank you to those of you who gave us your questions as well. It's been great to hear from all of you. And I know we've helped the couple of you we managed to answer too. Just to remind you, if you want to get lots of free marketplace educational content, then head to tamebaylive.com. If you are interested in exploring the opportunities on Amazon, then go take that 13-day ZonGuru challenge for free by visiting zonguru.com/get/AMZ-QS. And don't forget to tell the support team that you're a Keep Optimizing listener so you get it totally for free. And then if you are in the startup world and you want to hear a brilliant TEDx talk on the topic, then do check out Thomas's TEDx talk about founding a startup as well. It's been great hanging out with our guests and with all of you who've been tuned in as well. If you're tuned in, then you need to know what's coming up next on the Keep Optimizing Marketing podcast, because next month we're doing something a little bit different. Rather than zooming in on one marketing method, we're going to cover four new things that you need to know about that are not yet worthy of a whole month, but which could be a really good thing for you to embrace over the coming months in your business. That whole first mover advantage, getting in early when the competition levels are low. So next Wednesday, we're talking about TikTok. I think I finished up more confused than I was at the beginning about TikTok, but that's because of the stage it is in a business, not the quality of our guests. So TikTok is going to be explained, and you'll have a much better idea of whether it's for you or not in that episode next week. The week after, we're talking about one-click checkouts, not technically a marketing method, but a huge conversion impact. Then we're doing live stream e-commerce, which I've just recorded this afternoon, and that's got my mind buzzing. Huge opportunity there. And the last one's to be confirmed. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, John. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Chris, for being awesome guests. And it's bye from all of us. Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Good luck. Cheers. Bye.